And just like that, the search for Alabama's next offensive coordinator is reportedly over as quickly as it began, as reports are surfacing that Alabama has zeroed in on Nick Sheridan to be the next offensive coordinator. However, there are also reports that we need to talk about that have JaMarcus Shephard as co-offensive coordinator, and today we need to break it all down. But before we can, as always, y'all know the drill. I've got to hear from you. Hop down to the comments. Y for yes, N for no. Are you excited by these moves? And let me know what you're thinking. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. Hit that bell notification. I do constant college football content. You don't want to miss any of it. And if you enjoyed the content, be sure to like and comment down below. But having said all that, let's jump right into this. And where do we begin? I think we start with Nick Sheridan, and his reports are surfacing that he looks to be the guy to fill in as offensive coordinator, and then secondary reports stating JaMarcus Shephard looks to be co-offensive coordinator. So starting with Nick Sheridan and why I think this makes sense. Well, it goes back to a conversation we had the other day, both on my channel right here on a video, as well as on Bama Football on YouTube with Kyle Henderson, where we were talking about Kalen DeBoer is going to look to somebody that has a familiarity with what he wants to do. And when we think about it through that lens, it makes 100% sense that Nick Sheridan would be a name to be promoted. They've worked together. They have an understanding of what the other wants to do. And Nick Sheridan took over for play calling duties at Indiana whenever DeBoer left. So he has been an offensive coordinator before. So from that perspective, this makes a lot of sense. On top of that, Kalen DeBoer talked about not too long ago that he likes to have his coordinators have some level of autonomy, meaning they need to be comfortable with the guys they're working with. Well, if reports are accurate, and I certainly hope they are, that Nick Sheridan and JaMarcus Shephard are going to be co-offensive coordinators, they have a relationship. They have worked together in the past, and it would make sense why they would be able to do so successfully. And if we're talking about JaMarcus Shephard, remember this. He was the passing game coordinator at the University of Washington, and I've said this before, I'll say it again. I don't know how in-depth that looked like. I don't know what his duties were specifically, but what I do know is that Washington had one of the most prolific passing attacks in all of college football for 2 years, where they ranked number 1 in the nation in 2022 and number 2 in the nation in 2023. On top of the receiver production we saw from Coach Shephard, where Washington's wide receivers were phenomenal. And it wasn't just one guy. You could tell that that was a dangerous wide receiver group. So if the reports are true that it's both Nick Sheridan and JaMarcus Shephard, I think it makes a lot of sense from multiple different perspectives. We know that Kalen DeBoer wanted somebody familiar with his offensive systems because as much as Grubb is going to be an exciting offensive coordinator for the Seattle Seahawks, and as much as he was an exciting hire, this was and still remains Kalen DeBoer's offense. Grubb was just a great offensive play caller within the offense, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to be as concerned about losing an offensive coordinator whenever the offensive mastermind is still in the building. Kalen DeBoer as the head coach. If need be, he can get involved in some play calling, but being able to promote from within, look at Nick Sheridan, look at Shephard, who reportedly had multiple job offers this offseason, both of those guys. And I think when you really dive into it, it makes a lot of sense. Being able to promote both of those guys, I do think makes a lot of sense from all aspects in terms of continuity, in terms of understanding. It makes a lot of sense. Now the conversation turns to who will be the offensive line coach, and you already know we are going to be following that really closely because, as I said the other day, I'm less worried about an offensive mastermind like Kalen DeBoer replacing an offensive coordinator as much as I'm curious as to how they're going to get an offensive line coach or who it will be. Remember, Alabama's offensive line over the past 3 years has averaged as the 99th offensive line in the nation, and that, quite frankly, is unacceptable. I think Alabama has overachieved when you look at how they haven't been able to dominate the line of scrimmage offensively as they have in the past, and yet they've gone to college football playoffs. They've played in big games despite having an incredibly inconsistent offensive line. But moving forward, you do not want to hedge your bets on being able to sustain that level of success with an offensive line that's hovering around 99th in the nation. This past year, they were 129th in the nation. The year before, they were in the 40s, and the year before that, they were in the 100s again. So it's a problem that must be fixed. The offensive line is where we're really going to be watching closely, and you already know when movement happens there, we'll be right back here, sitting here with you. Let me know what you're thinking. Let me know what you think about Nick Sheridan, JaMarcus Shephard being co-offensive coordinators, and give me some names you'd like to see at the offensive line coach. That's it.